today's topic is all about recognition and pay in the workplace. And I thought it was rather timely because as we approach the end of the year, it may well be that you are having your annual or your biannual review around this time with your manager, or it has already taken place. And depending on your company's fiscal year, it may influence the time of the year that you have your review. But either way, the objective of the review is the same. And my experience of it in my 25 odd years in the corporate world is that one of or several of the core objectives of having your review are to review your performance, your progress, and your potential. So when I talk about potential, I mean potential for a pay rise, a percentage of the bonus pot, and possibly a promotion. So what is it for you? What is your objective when it comes to your review? And what is it you can do to gain the best outcome from that review? And this is what I wanted to share with you today, some best practices that will help you to prepare for that conversation with your manager. And if you have already had your review recently, then this is what you can do going forward for the next one. Because what I'm going to share with you is about planning and taking action throughout the year so that you're well prepared when it comes to actually having that meeting. So first of all, let's just recap on the objective. The objective for me, there's three core things. Number one is performance, number two is progress, and number three is potential. So when I talk about performance, I'm talking about your efforts, going over and above, making a bigger impact, and the performance against your objectives. You've also got progress. The progress is the progress you've made over the last 12 months in terms of your growth, your development. And you might have a PDP, as we used to call it. I think it was called a professional development plan, which had some goals and objectives for you as an individual for the year. And you want to look at the progress against that and measure that. And then the third is potential. And when I talk about potential, it's the potential for the promotion, for the pay rise, and for the bonus. Ashley, hello there. Thank you for joining. And I'm not sure VOT, I don't know what that means, but great to have you here. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and let me know if this resonates and if this is helpful for you. So first of all, we look at performance, and performance is about tracking your performance. And this is typically something, I know for me at least, I used to do it the week before I had my review. And then I started to realize this is really hard work because I can't remember half of the things I've done during the year. So in fact, what I could do instead is track that over the year. So I then used to keep a document. I think I used Microsoft Notes, and I used to keep the document in there, a page where I would just go in maybe once a week or every couple of weeks and pop in any wins. Now, these could be wins that are big or small, but things that have gone really well for me. For example, might have been a project I was working on, a client I was working with, a particular piece of work. It may have been feedback I received. Perhaps it was an email that I received from somebody for something that I have done. So you're looking for evidence as well. So whether you've got emails or messages, or even if someone has just said it verbally to you, make a note of it. Make a note of who said what to you and why, because it's helping you to also recognize your own performance. Because you may have heard me mention before, a lot of what we get in terms of our focus is on the negatives, the things that aren't working out so well for us, rather than the things that are. So by writing it down, by taking time to just reflect on a regular basis, and it'll literally take you 1 or 2 minutes, maybe on a Friday morning or at the end of a month or the beginning of the next month, to look back and say, okay, what's gone really well for me? What have I been recognized for? What have been my wins? And again, they don't need to be huge wins either. So just thinking about that, make a note of them. Also, any feedback that you received on anything that you've done, any conversations you've had, make a note of those as well. Any moments that you're really proud of, or something where you've over-delivered on a piece of work, or you've gone over and above on something and it's worked out really well. Or maybe a client has just made a comment or recognized the work that you've put in, or the effort you're putting into the relationship, or the delivery of what you're doing for them. Any of those things are valuable. So keep a record of all of that. Think about challenges that you might have overcome. Maybe you've got a difficult client. That could be an internal or an external client, or someone that you found it difficult to work with, but now you're actually building a much better relationship and improved rapport with them. That can be a win as well. So think about it across the board. Anything that's improving, that you're doing well, that you're feeling proud of, that is a win for you. And keep a record of that over the year, so that when it comes to the end of the year, and then you have to write, well, at least for us, we had to write almost like a page or a few paragraphs about how the year has gone. You can draw upon all of those wins. So that's the first thing, tracking your performance. The second thing is progress. And when I talk about progress, these are measurements against the objectives, the goals that you have been given. Because oftentimes you will have been given specific personal goals that you need to achieve or work towards. So again, I would be looking to review that. I'd suggest quarterly to go in and look at your goals, your objectives that you've been given for the year. And some of them will be timed as well. So some of them might be, well, this one you need to complete in Q1 or in Q2 or at the end of the year. And go through and track those, and then look at those versus where you're at. Understand your progress, how much progress you have made. Identify the gaps, and also then think about, okay, where there's a gap, what is it I need to do to close that gap? Who do I need to reach out to? What help do I require? What support can I get? Who can I elicit that help and support from? And then reach out to those people and ask for the help. Or think about, what can I do differently? Maybe I haven't had time to work on that particular thing. So what am I going to do to reprioritize a little bit to ensure that I meet that goal or that objective? So the reflection throughout the year, and for progress, I'm talking quarterly, will just help you to stay on top of things and to keep on track, and to identify where maybe you're behind or you haven't even looked at something yet, and think, okay, what do I need to do? I need to carve out some time. I need to speak to somebody and elicit some help or some support. Maybe get a mentor even to help you with that. Look at the resources internally, that maybe there's training courses, there's workshops that are held, online resources that might be made available for you. Think outside the box. What is it that you can proactively do to help you to achieve the goals that you have been set? Because there's no reason to, if you have all of that around you, that you can't create the time to do that. It's about prioritization, particularly if your financial rewards are then driven based on your goals that you've been set for the year. So that's the first two things: the performance, which is primarily focusing on the wins, the things that have gone well, the things that you've overcome, and you want to be tracking those on a regular basis and making notes of that in a document. And the second is progress, which is measuring your progress against the objectives that have been set for you for the year. And then thirdly, we have potential. And what I mean by potential is the potential for a promotion, for a pay rise, and possibly for a bonus. So let's start with promotion. If you are looking to get promoted and you want to have that conversation during your review, then there are a number of things that I would invite you to consider doing in terms of preparing for that, so that you shop with the commitment that you really want this. You've done the groundwork, you've done your homework, you've done the research. So for example, you want to research the kind of roles that you want to go into next, understand them, understand what they entail. So maybe speak to other people who have either done the role previously or are currently in the role. Get a real feel for what it's like, what it involves, what are their experience, what's the typical day-to-day, what are the challenges that they face, so that you come, it's almost like preparing for an interview, but you come well armed with the information to, almost as a business case, put forward your proposition for your desire to have that promotion. And then think about the trajectory, so your kind of longer term career plan, so you can bring that into the conversation. Well, for example, I would like to go from a analyst to a business analyst, or a project manager to a program manager, and here's why: because this is my longer term goal, my plan, this is where I want to get to, and I feel that the experience I would gain in this next role would set me up well to move forward to where I want to go longer term. So you want to have a story and a business case around where it is you are heading. And also think about why me and why now. So if you're having that conversation about promotion, you want to think, okay, so why me? So what is the value that I bring to the table? What can I bring to this role? The transferable skills, the specific areas of expertise and knowledge, all of that, and write it down, because it will help you as well in this process to really understand yourself. And why now? So why is it now that you feel ready for that promotion? Have a look at that and think, okay, so what have I accomplished so far? How long have I been in this role? Because if you've only been in the role for, say, 9 or 10 months, then actually maybe you still got a lot to learn in that role and to develop before you move into the next role. Whereas if you've been in the role for 3 or 4 years and you've not really seen something come up that you've wanted and now you do, that's a great story. It's a great I wouldn't say justification, but an explanation as to why you feel I really want to be considered for this now, because it's the first thing that's come up that really excites me. I'd really love to be able, to have the opportunity to take on that role. So think about these things, plan it out, create a story for yourself that you can then articulate to the person you're speaking to, your manager, or a hiring manager even, about that next role, about the move, about your career plan. So it shows that you put some thought into it. It isn't all just about I want a pay rise and a promotion and I'm entitled to that, because in a lot of places that is not the case. It is not a case that if you've been in a role for X amount of time that you naturally will get a promotion, or that if you haven't had a pay rise for 2-3 years you're naturally entitled to it. That is not always the case. There are some companies that operate in that way, where you will naturally get a pay increase every year or every couple of years, but it's not the norm in all places. So this is about being proactive, about getting clear on what it is you want, where it is you're heading and why, and then presenting that back. So asking for what you want, presenting where you want to go in your career, and sharing your expertise and the value that you can bring to the company, to the role, to the team. So that's the first part of potential, is the promotion. So if you are looking to get promoted, you want to have done the groundwork, the research, and have something to present back on that as a business case. And then the second part is the pay rise and the bonus. In my experience with a bonus, it's a case that sometimes there's a pot for a team, and then that gets shared out based on various factors, various variables. And so you want to be the person who is top of mind, who has really outshone amongst your team, who's gone over and above, so that it's a no-brainer that you will definitely be getting some of that bonus, and ideally a bigger percentage of it. And also that you'll be considered for a pay rise. So again, you want to be looking at having a business case for this. So think about, what have you overcome during the last year in terms of challenges internally, maybe with, again, internal, external clients, with particularly challenging work that you've had to do. What have you had to do that's been a challenge? It's been difficult for you. You've had to overcome it. What have you turned around? What impact have you made? What is it that you've over-delivered on and gone over and above for the people you report to or your clients? And then think about, where have you demonstrated proactiveness, initiative in a piece of work or in your day-to-day job? What is it you've done differently from last year? Because again, I advocate to people that a pay rise and a bonus is not an entitlement. There are some organizations, yes, who give an increase based on inflation, as an example, or the company performance. But it isn't always the case that you will naturally expect to receive something. And therefore, what you want to ensure is that you can demonstrate that you have moved forward since last year's conversation. What have you done differently? What have you moved forward in the business for yourself and for the team? Where have you supported others? All of these things. And this is why you want to keep a record, an ongoing record of the things that you're doing, so that you can put on that information to put that, or to present that business case to your manager. So also thinking about the wins. So bringing together what I spoke about earlier. So in terms of the performance and your wins, and that list that you've been collating over the year, you want to start drawing upon that and bring that into your business case. You want to think about the progress you have made from, so for example, what was the feedback you received last year? Maybe there was something that you were told to work on and improve upon. So how have you moved forward in that area? What has changed for you? And then look at that and think, okay, well, that's something that I have really worked on. I've moved forward. So you want to be able to demonstrate that, to give examples of it, and maybe talk about what you have done to improve upon that area. Maybe there's also courses that you've done, trainings you've attended, utilizing the resources that are online to help your career development, your progression, your learning, maybe even attending external events, conferences, networking. What is it you're doing to learn more about your industry, about your organization, network, and maybe having a mentor who's in a different part of the business, so you get to learn more about the company. It doesn't have to be formal either. It could simply be conversations you've had. So now it's opened your eyes to other areas of the business, or how your team could bring value to their team, or maybe looking at ways that you could collaborate. So there's so many different angles to this of what you can reflect upon and then bring to your business case when it comes to having that conversation about the pay rise and about the bonus. So these are the things I would absolutely advocate to you to consider doing. If you haven't done it already and you've already had your review for this year, start to do it, implement this for next year, so that when it comes to those meetings, whether you have a half year or annual review, you can just pull out all of that information and then put it into a business case that you can present to your manager. Because, as I said, and I've witnessed this myself, it's almost like a given, I'm going to get a pay rise or a bonus. The question would be, well, what have you done differently? Where have you gone over and above? Have you just been doing your job? If you just ticked your job description and you've done that, then does that justify a pay rise or a bonus? Inflationary, yes, perhaps. But actually, in terms of performance, what is it you're doing to enhance your performance? So these are things you want to be thinking about. Be proactive about it. You want to stand out. You want to be remembered for the right reasons. So that comes across throughout the whole year in terms of the way you show up, your performance, your delivery, your output, all of those things, and then the progress that you're making. So again, start collating this information. And if you have an imminent review coming up, then think about putting this information together. And yes, it might take a couple of hours to sit there and really go back for the last year and think, what have I done this year? What's gone really well? What are my wins? Where have I over-delivered? What challenges have I overcome? How have I progressed against my set goals? Where are the gaps? And also, where are the things that you know you haven't accomplished? Go with a plan, so that you can explain, well, actually, I haven't done this because of this, this, and this. However, this is my plan to close that gap, to complete that goal, that objective. So it shows, again, initiative. It shows that you're being proactive, that you're taking it seriously. So these are the kind of the core areas I would advocate you consider doing and building into your day-to-day. So as I said, the wins are something you can add to your list, maybe once a week, every couple of weeks. Just go in there and pop in there what's gone on for you that week or that month, so that you'll remember it when it comes to the meeting. And secondly is the progress. Do that review on a quarterly basis. So go back to your goals that have been set by your manager, by the organization, and think, where am I when it comes to these goals? How far forward am I? Where are the gaps? What do I need to prioritize? What help do I need? What resources can I draw upon? So that you can close those gaps out. And then thirdly, your potential. So the potential for the promotion, for the pay rise, that requires homework. It requires research, conversations, speaking to people, and being able to present back a really strong case for the increase. And I would just say that this is something I did many years ago when I was in sales. And what had actually happened was that we were capped out at a certain percentage. So you were given a quota for the year, and if you obviously were expected to hit that quota, and if possible go over and above. And there was 2 consecutive years where I hit over 150%. So we capped out at 150%, but I actually came in, I think both years was around 170. which meant that I didn't get paid for the extra business that I brought in. And I was like, okay. So the first year I let it go. The second year I was like, I've not even been acknowledged for this. What's going on? Why is that? And I went and had a conversation with my mentor, and my mentor gave me some amazing advice. And it was this: it was put a business case together for the last couple of years, because he was aware of kind of some of the big challenges I had with my clients that I've been working on, or working with, sorry. So he said, put a business case together of some of the things you've done, the work that you've done, the wins, challenges, and so forth, and present it to your manager and your sales director. And I'm not going to lie, it was probably the most difficult conversation I ever had to have, particularly in the last few years of my career. Richard, hello, how are you doing? Good to see you here. Thank you for hopping on. And I presented this business case on the call. As I said, it was the most uncomfortable call I can record during my career, but it resulted in a significant income in terms of a pay rise, and not something I anticipated at all. Had I not had that, had I not set that call up and not done the groundwork that I've just walked you through, so doing the research, speaking to people, to pull together enough information to show the value that I'm adding, what I've gone over and above, how I've helped the business and the team to move forward, and then presented that back, I would never have gotten that increase, and probably would have come resentful and then demotivated, demoralized, and all of those things. But actually, it's about taking control of the situation, being proactive, and asking for what you want as well. I think that's really important, to be asking. So taking all of this together and just summarizing back what I've shared today, when it comes to recognition and pay and your annual and biannual reviews, you want to be proactive about it. So number one is performance. Track your performance throughout the year. And as a minimum once a month, you want to just reflect on what you've done, all of your wins, your proud moments, positive feedback, emails that you receive from people acknowledging the work that you're doing and how good something has been. You want to save all of that. Then thinking about your progress. So where you've been given goals and objectives for the year, I would review that quarterly, look at that and think, okay, is there things that I haven't even started yet that I've kind of completely deprioritized? What do I need to do to get that back on track? Where are the gaps? And how do I close those gaps? Is it about creating more time? Is it about reaching out for help? Is it about utilizing internal resources? All of those things, maybe getting a mentor, having a conversation with someone. So think about what it is you can do to help you to close the gaps and to complete and achieve all of your goals that have been set. And then thirdly is about potential. So your potential for a promotion, a pay rise, a bonus, again, it does take some work. So putting together a business case, which requires you to then collate all that information that we've just talked about. So the performance information, the progress information, and talking about what value you bring, the value you bring to your role, to your team, to the wider organization, maybe to the industry if you get involved in industry events. And then thinking about why now? Why is it now that I feel I'm ready for that promotion? What is it that I can bring to the table? So you want to bring all of that into a business case and be ready to present that back. And if you don't have the opportunity, ask for the opportunity, ask for the time to have that conversation with the appropriate person, typically your manager, to be able to present that. And I'm not talking about creating a great big singing, dancing PowerPoint. It can simply be a conversation, but it's one that you have thought out and you've planned it out well. So you cover all of your points articulately and you get your message across. So I do hope that has been useful for you. Renee, great to see you here. Thanks for joining. And yeah, I hope you've taken something away from this. For those of you who have reviews coming up, please check out this. If you've only just joined, listen back to the recording, take some notes on the points that I've shared so you can get the best outcome from your conversation with your manager. If you've already had it this year, start planning ahead for the next one, again, by implementing the pointers, the best practices that I have shared here today. And do share with me your thoughts, your comments, your feedback, and anything I've talked about today. Any questions you have, tag me in and I will come back and answer them. In the meantime, before I leave you, quick reminder to grab your copy of the playbook. The link is in the comments. And also go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, mi-brandTV, and do check it out. It's got some phenomenal guests in there on my podcast. All the video podcasts are being gradually released in there at the moment. So it's a great opportunity to start watching those if you haven't been listening to my podcast, and share it with people who can benefit from it. So in the meantime, I will leave you for today. I look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. And until next time, remember to build your influence, to make an impact, and to be remembered for the right reasons by showing up as the best version of you. Thank you to all of you who've joined me today live, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, have a great week and a great weekend.